Hello guys and welcome to my channel. I am your host Edikan Obot. This is Isaac News. Today on Isaac News we are going to be looking at Nigeria's tax revenue. So how much does Nigeria really make from tax? Is it a profitable venture? Which companies have been paid the most in terms of tax, and how tax can be used as an indices to check economic growth and economic prosperity. So this and more will be looked at on today's video. So please, like you to like this video, share, subscribe, and share your thoughts on what you're going to hear as we proceed. So let's dive into today's video. Companies pay 1.25 trillion naira tax amid forex and energy crisis. So there's been a whole lot of forex crisis. Forex that is typically when you hear forex, just think of dollar. Okay, there've been dollar scarcity on the Nigerian market, and there've been global energy crisis, which have crippled a lot of economies because as the world becomes more and more globalized, okay, what affects the top players on the global scale would definitely send ripples down every other country. So, but in all these Nigerian companies have paid 1.25 trillion naira as tax in the first 6 months of this year. So this figure you're hearing now is just showing us what has been paid as tax between January to June this year. Okay, it's not what we have paid for the whole of the year, it's just between January to June. Data released by the National Bureau of Statistics showed that company income tax grew from about 697 billion in the first half of 2020, 697 billion in the first half of 2020 to 864 billion in the first half of 2021 to 1.25 trillion naira in the first half of 2022. So we can see a steady rise and a steady increase in tax payment by taxpayers. Now, this is an indication that Nigerian companies are actually recovering from the effect of COVID-19. And though an emerging energy crisis seems to, cut or slash down our gains, yet we are still making efforts to see how to make a lot of money. Now, the fact that we can gather and pay 1.25 trillion naira as tax in the first 6 months of a year is a very big indicator of the fact that we are experiencing prosperity in this nation, irrespective of your emotions, irrespective of what is being aired on the national media. A country can actually produce 1.25 trillion naira as tax in a country where the majority of companies don't pay tax. A lot of companies don't pay tax. Okay, so if we even have, let me just presume, if we have even half of our companies registered in Nigeria paying tax, we are generating 1.25 trillion in 6 months. That means at the end of the year, we should be generating, minimum 3 trillion naira, because in case you know how business stuff does, business deals or business transaction increases down and down into the year. So if you make 1.25 trillion in the first 6 months, in the second 6 months, you're not going to make the exact, you're going to make more, because generally as the year begins to wind down, a lot of business transactions, increase. As the Christmas season begins to draw near, businesses increase and transactions go on. So there's more money made in the second half of the year than the first half of the year. So if we're making 1.25, I think we're going to make 1.75 and make it 3 trillion by the end of this year. But that's just my opinion. But the point is that this is an indicator that we're making more money. So fewer companies have come into the Nigerian market, and most of these new companies may not even be paying tax. But tax is increasing. I read the figures from over 600 billion in 2020 to over 800 billion in 2021 to 1.5 trillion in 2022 for just the first 6 months. For this first 6 months alone, we are seeing these amazing figures. So this is an indicator that things are going well, that things are going in the right direction. Moving on, we're going to be looking at the Nigerian tax rate. Okay, how the Nigerian government or the Nigerian government tax its citizens? What are its tax rates? But first, I want to just make it clear: anyone earning below the minimum wage, which is 33,000 naira, is not eligible for taxing. So this is a very good one by the Nigerian government to ensure that it is trying to help people who, are just earning mega salary that cannot carry them, throughout the month. So if you earn below 33K, you're not eligible for tax. Now, next, if you earn minimum wage 33K and above, okay, you are supposed to pay 7% as tax of your annual income. So if you earn 33K per month, in 12 months, you would be looking at, so if you're earning 33K per month, at the end of it, you should be earning over 390,000, close to 400,000 as your annual income. Okay, so people earning that amount of money are supposed to pay 7% as tax on your first 300K and above. Your second 300K, you're going to pay 11% as tax. Okay, as Nigerians, we pay tithe a lot. So if you're paying, let's presume that you're making 400K, your tax for the year will be 11%. We know that 10% of 400K is 40K. So 11% may be like probably 42 or 43K. So your tax from 400K in a whole year, in a year, is just 10%. Meaning that you're going to pay, if you make 400K in a year, okay, you're going to pay 41 to 42 or 43,000 naira as tax from that 400K annual income. Now, if you earn 500,000 naira as your annual income, you're going to pay 15% as tax. If you earn 1.6 million naira above, you're going to pay 21% as tax. And if you earn 32 million naira and above, you're going to pay 24% as tax. This is a very generous, a very fair tax scheme. If you think otherwise, all you have to do is carry your phone as we speak, go and Google and check how much European countries charge taxpayers. In fact, people playing sport, I can speak about people playing football. In fact, Premier League players pay sometimes as high as 40% as tax for their monthly income. Sometimes even 45% as tax. Meaning if you're being paid even maybe $100,000, you're going to give the government 40 or $45,000 and keep either 60 or $55,000 as money for yourself. So the Nigerian tax rate is very fair. People earning over 2.4 million or over 2.4 million or over 3.2 million are just paying 24%. So our highest tax rate is 24%, and that is very fair and generous. MTN Nigeria alone paid over 800 billion naira as tax in the year 2021. If a company is paying 800 billion naira as tax, and I think they are being taxed 30% of their annual revenue, how much did that company make? In case you don't know, MTN Nigeria, I think, made over 5 trillion naira. Made over 5 trillion naira last year. Just even with all the inflation and everything, they have not increased their price, they have not increased their services, yet they made over 5 trillion, paying the highest tax ever paid, 800 billion naira. Why am I coming to tell this? Do you know Dangote is